So welcome, Hertz. Let's talk a little bit about the background of the company. So Stella, give us an overview. Everyone here knows Hertz, right? Preeminent player in the market. So give us a little bit of a background on Hertz and things we may not know.
Yeah, sure. So a lot of this stuff you can read on these slides, but I think what is really important to know is that Hertz has a huge history of now 95 years of ongoing innovations. So our motto is being the fastest, easiest, and most valued mobility provider. And Collins will later talk about this a little bit. But just one thing to share. It all started 1918 with a very brave young man after World War I. Nobody had money to buy cars. And so he repaired used cars and rented to the people. And this was really the first start of our journey. And on this way, we have continuous firsts, like the first one-way rental, the first
Yes, charades. Good.
And rental video kiosk.
There we go. There we go. So it all started with 12 Model Ts, right? That was the first.
Yeah.
The first fleet was 12 Model Ts. So great background on the company. So let's switch a little bit to the journey and the relationship you've taken working with PeopleAnswers. So you started working with us 2011, I believe.
Yeah, 2011, we started with the US. We went live with 7 profiles. We then migrated into Europe with Ireland and UK. And currently, we are onboarding the other core countries as Germany, France, Italy, Spain, and Australia is as well in our pipeline.
Excellent. So it sounds like you've been obviously very, very busy over the last 2 years. So Karl-Heinz, we've done some initial studies. I think we've got some results that we can share with our guests today. So we're really passionate about making sure we convey the results to our current users. How do you communicate the results internally as being part of the executive team yourself? How do you communicate these internally?
Well, the numbers speak for themselves, but I think what is important to know about it, we consider anything that relates to HR as being a business process. So the thinking really is very different in terms of whatever we invest in HR is vetted with finance during the financial planning process. So anything that we do is measured in terms of contribution. We're an EVA-driven company, economic value add-driven company, which means we look at contributions, and these numbers are very clear in terms of contribution. We lowered turnover cost in our company over the last 2 years since we work with you by roughly $7 million. So once you do that, you don't need to justify anymore why you exist.
Excellent. That's great news. So John mentioned in the introduction the North Star project. Could you give us a little insight into where the North Star project started and why?
North Star is a massive rebranding activity for Hertz to really reposition Hertz as a company in the premium space, but to completely transform the customer experience. So it's a completely customer-oriented initiative, actually providing much more of a retail feel when you come to Hertz locations. So for instance, we sell jackets in our locations, but you can buy anything. So if you come off a long trip and you forgot your iPod, you can buy an iPod and so on. So it is really totally focused on the customer experience.
Excellent. So creating this, clearly you had profiles already built for existing positions. So Stella, tell me, what was the thought process behind creating something out of nothing here with the North Star project?
Yeah, so at the very beginning it was scary. So because I know your concept, you need data to build really custom profiles, and this is what I absolutely appreciate. So I was scared, like, oh my God, we don't have any data, we don't have any components, incumbents, how can we do that? And then Jill came into the play, and Jill and Diana, our account manager, maybe wherever you are, here. Greetings. And so they helped us. We had a very healthy discussion about what can we do, what are our requirements, and maybe you can start. And
Yeah, so the real challenge here was that the positions that were going to be in the locations for this new North Star effort weren't in existence yet. And they were having entirely new positions, or even the positions that may have had the same title were completely changing. So we had no performance data, we had no job incumbents, we really couldn't follow that process that John had showed you all earlier. So we decided to use a subject matter expert strategy where we brought in executives who were running the North Star effort, operations, and spoke through each and every one of those positions and really determined what are the key characteristics that we're looking for.
Yeah, this honestly, so if this would be all to build the results, I would have really headaches about this. But the idea was to have a staged approach, to have kind of phase validation, and you will talk later about this microsampling. So this was really combine some subjective approach with a really objective approach, the best what we can do at this moment. So this.
That's great. So I heard the term microsampling. So love that term. Tell me more about microsampling, Jill.
Yeah, so when we're building these profiles, a common challenge with subject matter expert approaches is that you're not really sure of what you're getting, right? You want to be sure that your profile is valid, obviously, when you deploy it. And when you're relying on an opinion, that can be an issue sometimes. So we wanted to ensure that we had as valid a profile as possible, given that we didn't even have any incumbents. They had some people in positions that were somewhat similar to the North Star positions. They were kind of modeling the types of behavior that they wanted in these new positions, and kind of a close enough match to where we wanted to at least use them as a reference point. So in microsampling, what we did was we had those people, we identified those very top performers from similar jobs, had them assess, and we compared them against these SME profiles. So kind of what you're seeing on the screen there, we actually used the scatter graph report in the administrative tool and compared those high performers against the SME profile and made modifications where we were seeing some big disconnects.
Yeah.
So
and this was a really great approach because we convinced our leaders that this is something we can show them, really the evidence. This is scientific, so we combined this subjective approach with this objective view, and yeah, this was really great. Well done, thank you.
Yeah, so it really helped to obtain, you're welcome. It was fun. Helped to obtain buy-in, and really it helped us feel like we had really good profiles going forward in the absence of any data at all.
Perfect. Okay, so what's next now? You've established this new position, the new profile. What's happening now as you move forward and you get more people moving into that role?
Yeah, the plan is then to do a post-deployment study as soon as we have enough data.
Well,
and
sorry, custom profiles. But yes, we'll look at those as well. Yes, yeah. Later on.
Okay.
This is what happens if you have two doctors on the couch.
I know. No, you're right on.
Okay. So we will definitively track the data, and then we will switch into a custom profile, and then we do the post-deployment study. Yeah.
Okay, so just summarizing then, Stella, if you look at what you've achieved and what lies ahead, give us some learnings from what you've done, and any advice you'd give to people in the audience who have a similar challenge.
Yeah, so I think the one thing what was easy was it was crystal clear that we will use PeopleAnswers for this endeavor, because it was already introduced. We shown this great result, reducing turnover and the ROI. So this was really clear. But I think where we really did a good job was in showing the SMEs how we approach it, combining it with some scientific stuff together. So I think this was really how we convinced the group to go forward with that.
Okay, well, I really appreciate you coming up and sharing your story with us. It means a lot to us. I know there's going to be a lot of questions from our guests today. So let me say thank you for joining us, and let's give everyone a round of applause. Thank you.